Hello, hello. My name is Jessie Wild from Wild Jessie Consulting, and I am here on Thursday night with a mom on a mission. If you guys are here live, go ahead and do hashtag live so I can kind of see who's here. If you're on the replay, please do hashtag replay so I know that you're on the replay. I'm going to give a second just for everything to catch up because I know I am on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube right now. So we're like on all the platforms this week. So we're trying some things out and hopefully it all goes well. So if you guys can just let me know if you're hearing me all right and everything is going good, I am super excited about tonight. And we've got a lot to talk about. I've got a really awesome giveaway today. I know normally my Thursday nights are for the moms. And I know I've kind of invited dads onto this tonight too, because I don't want to leave you guys out in these conversations, especially tonight, because I want to talk about some controversial things that are going on. Like right now, I know Cuties is really big on Netflix and it's super controversial. And I want to talk about it a little bit, as well as really hard knocks conversations with our kids. I've got teenagers, I've got tweens, I've got younger ones. And I think it's really important, especially in today's age, that we need to learn about talking about things like sex and porn and our kids' bodies with them. So I'm super excited tonight and I'm really hoping that this goes well. So if you guys have comments along the way, if you have questions, please, just go ahead, be active in the comments, let me know. Like every Thursday, I want to start out with positives. So if you guys have a positive, please feel free to leave it in the chat. Hi, Miriam. Please feel free to leave it in the chat. If you're just catching on, this is a mom on a mission. I bring it every Thursday night at 7. And one of the things that I like to start out with is positives, because I think it's just an amazing way to kind of start your day. And, yeah. So my positive today would be we got in a car wreck back in December, and it was pretty crazy. Somebody smashed into the back of us, and my car got like messed up, and we got it fixed right away. And then, like, not shortly after that, it like exhaust slipped, and it is so loud. Like, my kids have been super embarrassed about me like picking them up from school and from people's houses and stuff, because my car is like so I took it into the place that had originally done the repair, thinking it's like 9 months later, I'm probably gonna have to pay for it. Okay, whatever. And I'm probably gonna have to wait forever. They literally got it in today, did like whatever it was they needed to do, and I didn't hear anything on the drive home. It was like the most quiet and relaxing drive home that I've had in a really long time. So that is my positive. If you guys have a positive, please, again, go ahead and put them inside of the chat. I'm really excited. I think this is a great place to celebrate. So please put them in the chat. Let me know what your positive thing was today. Okay. So I kind of want to jump in. I'm a little nervous about tonight. I told my husband what I was going to be talking about, and he was pretty nervous for me. He was like, honey, that's some big stuff, but you guys know me. I don't like to just cover the fluff stuff, and I like to be pretty real with you guys. I think it's really the best way to show an example and to help you with struggles, because it's real moms, real problems. That's my whole thing. Real moms, real questions, real answers, right? And I think one of the things that we really do deal with is something that we really don't want to talk about. And that's our kids and their bodies. Because let's be real, like, that's terrifying. The idea of our children being actual, like, formal and sexual beings is horrifying on so many levels. I 100% am there. And I think that this conversation got started recently about the Netflix movie Cuties. And I've heard a lot about it. Let me know if you've heard about it in the chat. Like, go ahead and click it in. Say, let me know. Or if you've seen it, because I know a lot of people that have a lot of opinions about it and haven't seen it or anything more than the trailer or a bunch of YouTube videos on it, and not necessarily it itself, which is something I want to talk a little bit about too. it's a documentary and, or not a documentary, sorry, it's a movie. And it's about a woman that the woman that made it, is a woman that's from the culture that this is in, which is, I think I believe it's in Paris. And it's a different culture. They have polygamy. They do, like, it's child brides, and there's a lot that is attached into it. And the part that kind of set everybody else off is the dancing and the girls that are dancing. And I took the time to watch it, and I have to say I was pretty nervous. I made sure I was like by myself. And like I was fully ready for an explanation if somebody like saw me watching it, like, wait, I'm just doing this so I can cover it in my life, so I could talk to moms and I could talk to parents about it. Um, and because again, I don't think that I can judge something. I'm not going to turn off my Netflix subscription, or completely boycott something based on what I've heard. I'm going to actually look into it and deal with it myself. And I think that's super important, really, honestly. So that is definitely something that, I looked into. And I have to say, I am kind of surprised that the only issue that's being dealt in this is the dancing. Not saying that and I'm not saying that children are not sexualized, and that there isn't dancing and things that are geared towards children that obviously I guess pander to pedophilia and things like that. But I think the intent more so was to draw issues to a lot of other things. One of them being children being sexualized in dance. The whole point of the movie was started by the creator because she was in a situation where she was watching a performance and she thought it was overly sexual, and it was dealing with young girls. So she ended up interviewing like over 100 girls and deciding to make this content on it. And we're talking about the movie Cuties here, if you're just catching on, or you're just jumping on. And really, it's about sorry, okay. So, it's about, the sexualization of the children and everything like that. But it's about other things too, the whole point is this little girl, the creator at this time, when they were filming this movie, they had therapists on set with the girls. I mean, I was halfway through the movie before I even saw anything that I figured was something like I would like want to cover the screen or be like, oh gosh, it's somebody watching me watch this right now. Really. And so if you've seen it, let me know. But I think there were other issues involved, like one of them, and which I'm going to take into kind of tonight's live. I'm sure there's a lot of things that I would want to touch on later, but one of them is really like when the mother and the grandmother in it, and total spoilers on this, guys. But when they realized that this girl was overly sexualizing her behavior, which I have to say, I have seen other times where, I've seen other documentaries about like tween or children dancers, and their parents are putting them in these things or supporting them. And, whether they see it as a sport or whatever, that's not what I'm saying. But the parents didn't know in this scenario that it was. So again, that's a kind of a thing to say. Watch your kids. Like, what are they doing? What are they up to? I mean, this little girl was in the beginning, she's taking her two little brothers, which is like maybe 2 and 4, grocery shopping by herself for her mom. So you can already see there was like turmoil and trouble there. There's no way in a million years I would let my 11-year-old daughter, and I have an 11-year-old daughter, do that. There's no way. I don't even leave her home alone. I'm not going to leave her home alone with her 2 brothers, have her go grocery shopping for them and everything like that. It's a different culture. And I think that's one of the points of the film. But really, like, they figure out what's going on, and like the first thing they do, and when they realize that she's doing this, they start yelling at her. They start calling her horrible names. They don't explain anything to her, and they immediately, like, if they call some guy and some people to like start throwing holy water on her, and are like, it's the devil in her. It's the devil in her, and like that's how they choose to talk about it, and then they don't talk about it at all. Except like the grandma says, by the time I was your age, I was already a bride. And again, touching on what I think was another issue of when this child was sexualizing her own behavior, it was seen in a different light than when they objectify her and make her a child bride to a grown man. So I really do think that there are other things at play there in this movie, and there were other intentions than just putting half naked 11-year-olds on a screen, which again, like the things that they were wearing in those films, I see girls wearing every single day. I do. I'll see them just scroll through TikTok, and you'll see girls in crop tops. And I guarantee you, most of the time, you will go on there, and there has been times I've seen children on there, and I think that they're much older, and I will find out that they are literally only 12, 13, 14, maybe. So I really think that that's, I think that again was kind of the intent. So I just think that it's really important. And again, in this, they start throwing holy water and everything, and they end up being told, it's not the devil. And it's because it's about communication. Where was the communication at all with that child? Where was the communication with her? And I know it can be very hard. It's so hard on talking to your children about things like sex. It is. It's horrible. Nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to talk to their children about sex. Nobody wants to talk to their children about porn, things like that. And these are both conversations that my husband and I have had to have. And I want to kind of like talk about that, to like give you guys some actual genuine tips and things about how we went about it. Not saying that we did it perfectly, but I'm proud of the way that we have handled it and that we have done it. And I am a very strict mom. For people that have known me, I mean, I am a very, very strict mom. My kids don't have like phones with access to things. Their tablets have protection services on them and apps that protect them, or what I've thought that they had, which I found out later don't protect them from everything. And it's such a different world that we're living in, and think of what our parents were watching and think of what we're watching now. I mean, take a glimpse on HBO, like sex is everywhere. Sex is everywhere. It's in everything we watch. It's in everything that is advertised to us. We feel the pressure as adults. So to imagine that our kids don't feel the same pressure is kind of, I feel, naive. So again, so those are some of the subjects, that I think that are really important that we talk about. And I think our reaction to finding out that our kids do have these thoughts and do have these questions, I think it needs to be a reality. It needs to be a conversation in our homes. In the movie, at one point, a girl goes and like blows up like a condom. And immediately the girls start freaking out. They think that's how you get AIDS. They think that they need to wash their mouth out with soap. The girl starts crying because she's literally scared. And it's about misinformation and completely lack of education in it. And not saying that we need to educate our kids to the point that they know too much. One of the ways that we dealt with it, and again, I'm pretty proud of it, is we went, and when we realized that our kids were starting to like kind of, I guess, not exhibit sexual behavior, but we realized that they started to have questions or started to make comments, or maybe we had found that they were trying to search something that they shouldn't have been, or heard them talking to a cousin or a friend, and we realized it was time to sit them down. We sat them down. And one of the things, it's really hard to start that conversation. So you got to like take that pill of like, it's going to have to happen, because it's either going to be told from you or from someone else. And that's what we found out when we were talking to our kids, is that they were getting this information from someone else, and it was horribly wrong. So that's what we did, is we went and said, hey, we know that you've been talking about sex or things like that. And I mean, they start these classes on sex at I think it's like 3rd, 4th grade. They start talking about things like hygiene and things like that. And we sat them down and we were basically like, hey, what do you know? What do you know? and let's talk about questions you have about it. So when they started telling us things like what they thought it was and the way they thought things were involved and how like people get pregnant and how people have sex and things like that, we found out immediately that they were like terribly wrong in a lot of it. And again, it's kids talking because they don't have the real information, and it's probably because they're not actually being sat down and told what it is. Now, we didn't go into great detail, but we corrected some of the information that they knew. And if you have questions about this, if you have comments about this, please leave them in here. If you're not comfortable with that, feel free to message me if you're struggling with conversations on sex with your kids, because it is a conversation, and it is kind of a little bit of process, and you might need to do a take two. Say it goes terribly wrong. Okay, walk away. Everybody gets ice cream and we'll try again because it might not go right the first time. And that's a reality, but we did, we sat them down, we talked to them about what they knew and corrected the information. And it was a little bit different with my daughter than it was with my son. So, my son, again, I have password protected things. I have apps that restrict things. They have to ask permissions for it, and it goes to my and my husband's phone if anything pops up. And so I thank you, Mike. Thank you. And I really do. If you guys have questions or anything, please let me know. And put them in here because I'd like to address them. Or if you have, comments or questions about what I'm saying, feel free. This is about conversation. And I think this is an important one. There's so much going on in the world. We're actually, getting away from some base things. And one of those things needs to be our children. Honestly, it needs to be our children because they're still growing. They're still going through all of this. And if you think that just because they're holed up in your home, that they're not getting any exposure to sex or pornography or things like that, you're wrong. You're wrong. And I can tell you firsthand, because if you would have told me last year that I was going to be talking to my 12-year-old son about pornography, I would have been like, no way, not my kid, not my kid. He's not the type. He's a good kid. He's not going to, and that's not what it's about. And I think that's one of those things too, once we realized what was going on. And it was me taking his tablet and just kind of searching through the history at one point and realizing he found a way around our things, around our guards to find that information. And we started to look through. First, I brought it to my husband. I didn't react right away. I did take his tablet from him and I said, hey, buddy, I'm going to hold on to this for a minute and we'll talk about why. I gave myself a second to kind of react on my own first because I was terrified, frustrated, scared, literally like there's not enough words for it. Like I wanted like a glass of wine immediately. And I went and I talked to my husband about it. I talked to his dad about it because we do have a co-parenting relationship. And, I wanted to make sure again that he understood what he was reading and or what he was seeing. And I was man, guys, I am so lucky. I am so lucky because I was so proud of my husband. And it was a conversation that both of us were there for. And I think that that's important if that dynamic is there. If you're a single parent, you're not going to have that. But it was good coming from both. But my husband was a champ. He went straight in and was like, buddy, the stuff in these sites is for 18 and older. And we went over how, for safety concerns, we went over how, he started out with, I want you to understand that these are not realistic expectations for a relationship, for a sexual relationship or a relationship that you might have someday. And it's not a realistic expectation. Okay. These are actors. They're almost like athletes. Not everybody's going to be doing everything they do in the Olympics. Not everybody's going to be doing what they see in pornography. And frankly, for a lot of us, it's not a real thing. But that's, there's nothing wrong with sexual health and everything. I'm not like dogging anybody that does anything like that. Like what you do behind your doors is between you and your husband or your significant other or whatever. That's a conversation for a different time. But for children, they need, he needed to understand this was not a real situation for them. He's like, it's not a real expectation. You don't treat women the way that some men will treat women in those photo or in those videos. And the same goes with the way women will treat men. It's not a realistic thing. These are actors. I think he said, it's basically like sci-fi, buddy. Okay. And it's really close. But it's not just pornography that the kids find this material and find these things. Really, it's not. It's everywhere. My daughter, she likes anime. And there are lots of children-friendly anime. You'll look and it'll be on kids sections of shows and things. And it'll go through our kids YouTube channels. It'll go on children's Netflix, stuff like that. And even in some of the good ones, they still have boobs, even in the kids movies and shows where it's PG or TVY7 or whatever crazy label they have on it now. These things are still underlyingly there. And it would make more sense for us to address these things with our kids. Our daughters, even at 11, they're having those concerns about their body. Okay. They're having those things about developing. And our sons now too. We're in a totally sexualized age. How often do you turn the corner and you hear about, how many genders there are and about how the sexuality and about all of that. And again, I'm not saying anything against that, against those conversations. I think that they are good to have. But what tends to happen, and like what happened in this movie, and I noticed it right away, is instead of when we notice that our kids are getting this information, instead of addressing it and bringing a conversation to it, we immediately try to sweep it under the rug and put it under as fast as possible and get it out of our heads, get it out of our minds, and we're back to our safe space. But we're doing a disservice to our children because the questions are still there. And they really want the answers. And I don't know if you have a kid that wants something or they want to know what's behind that door and you don't tell them what's behind that door, they're going to ask you every 5 minutes, or they're going to figure out a way to find what's behind that door. Okay. It's like the way they're wired. And if we don't give them the right information, we're doing two things. One, we're closing the door for communication and for them to see us as somebody that they trust and can go to. And then they're going to go find that information from somebody else. And who knows what they're going to find out. Okay. You're worried about people grooming our youth for pedophilia or things like that. What if they go to somebody who is actually doing that? Okay. What if they go to somebody who gives them answers to those questions that are not healthy, that are not safe, and that we do, that are priming them or grooming them to something worse? They need the right information. And the best way they're going to get that from is you. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be awkward. You're going to hate every second of it. Okay. But it's like driver's training. It's risky. It's scary. It could be dangerous, but it's something they have to go through. And if we looked at it like that and made it part of our regular conversation with potty training and everything like that, like our body development, then it would be a lot better for our children. You don't want if you don't want your child to grow up and be 15 years old and pregnant, but you never talk to her about sexual health, sexual awareness, or anything like that, then, can you be that surprised? Because you never brought it to the table. So she went and found answers in another way. And you can be mad and you can be upset and you can be, belligerent or blind to the fact that you had a part in it, but we have a part in our children's sexual health and their lives. They have the HPV vaccine now. And I'm not here to negate or debate vaccines or anything like that. But the reality is that's a vaccine that, yes, helps against cervical cancer and stuff too. But when it was originally was put for HPV and like sexually caused diseases, genital warts, things like that. And it was pushed to kids at 11 because 10 and 11 is now the national average that children are starting to have their first sexual experiences. Now, I heard that fact and my heart dropped to the ground. It dropped to the floor. I couldn't, oh my gosh, I can't stay still. It made me uncomfortable just thinking about it then. But then I thought about it a little bit more, and then, and then I read further, and it says, usually by 14, there's a large percentage, a percentage of 14-year-olds that have had sex now. And again, terrifying, horrifying, so scary. Oh my gosh, that's so scary to think that our 14-year-olds are out there having sex, but that's how you get, teen mom. That's how you get those things where it's like, okay, this 15-year-old or 16-year-old has a baby, and then we have babies, we're raising babies, and it just creates so many more issues that we have. And I think that this is an easy way for us to start to remedy or fix, not remedy it because, but I mean, that we can it's it's the vaccine to getting teenage pregnancies and things like that, is helping our kids be aware of sexual health. And I really truly believe that. And again, it doesn't mean you have to sit them down at 11 years old and say, hey, this is everything I know. No, you're going to scare them worse. You're going to make it worse. I mean, honestly, they don't need to know all of that. Some of us don't even figure some of that out until we're much older, and that's okay. But they need to know the basics, because this is the other thing. I wrote in my little description here and everything, and it's one of the reasons, what we need to be doing to protect our kids. And the reality is we need to have conversations with them about safe and healthy practices and sexual care. And we need to talk to them about their body and make sure that they're not ashamed of it. Because if they don't know what the right touch is or the right time is, how are they going to be able to identify the wrong touch or the wrong time for them or their body? My son was in a situation where he felt completely uncomfortable, and I want to respect his privacy a little bit, so I won't go too far into it. But he got very nervous. He got very upset, and he was uncomfortable with somebody touching him, and he kind of had a bit of a meltdown. And then he felt ashamed after. I don't know if any of you have ever felt that way, because I definitely have. As a grown woman, felt that way, been in a situation where I was made to be uncomfortable or anything like that, and then immediately felt ashamed about it. Because I'm sure I'm not the only person that has happened to. And the first and most important thing that I wanted to do is to make sure that I did two things. I validated my son's feelings. Because it doesn't just happen to women. And I think that's extremely important. Again, especially in today's society, I think that, there is a lot of pressure on boys just as there is as girls. And I think it's silly or irresponsible to think that just the girls need to be talked to, that our boys need to know what's going on and how to identify and understand these things too, for themselves. And then so they know how to approach girls in a safe manner. But, I validated his feelings and what he was going through, and that he was upset about this. And then, what I did? I congratulated him because I was proud, and I let him know that I was proud that he spoke up. I said he did exactly what he was supposed to do. Okay. He stopped the situation. He did. He stopped the situation. He was like, no, we're done. I'm done. He stopped the situation. He told them he was uncomfortable, and he asked for his mother. And as a teenager, I am so proud of him, because then if that happens again, if it happens with a stranger, if it happened at school, if it happened at a friend's house, I know how he's going to respond. And you know what? I can't protect him from everything. There's just no possible way, but I can educate him on the proper way to go about it. And who's to say it won't go further? There are definitely things, like teaching our kids about how to protect themselves and things like that. I think it's extremely important. I really do. And not in a sense to scare them, but in a sense to educate them. It's not a scare tactic. It's a way to help them understand safety and understand their feelings and just This is how you keep your kids out of the news. This is how you keep them out of trouble. You help them to recognize those situations, and educate them. And again, don't go alone in an area with somebody that you are not comfortable with. And honestly, even if you are, I mean, our kids are so young now, there's no way I would let my kids go alone with somebody at any point in time at this time, whether it's their age or anything like that, because you never know anymore. But me just constantly trying to protect and shelter them is not enough. And I feel like us as parents, we really think that that's going to do it. I was 100% confident and sure in myself, and all of all of the steps that we took and the apps that we had and the filters that we put on and the checks and the balances that we had in it. There was no way. And really, honestly, I had no doubt in my mind there was no way that my any of my children would understand, know, or be anywhere near pornography, sex, or anything like that. I didn't have to worry about it. But the reality is, it's there. It's easy for them to access. I mean, we're in the age of information. Everything that we can find out, they can find out to some degree. I mean, everything that we're Googling on what for them not to find or not to see or not to do, there is somewhere that they're getting information telling them exactly that, whether it's subliminally, again, and I mean, there's all sorts of forms of media. I mean, there's kids that have Instagrams. There's, kids that have TikToks where they're these tiny, adorable, sweet things, and they're in crop tops and booty shorts, and they're dancing just the same. I don't see people taking off that, I mean, I understand there was a whole thing of ban TikTok and everything like that. But the second we were all quarantined in our homes and had to stay and we're bored out of our minds, what do you think we were all doing? Watch TikTok, making TikToks, okay? Because it was a boredom buster, but they're going to the same things. And if we don't educate them about the proper ways to deal with these things or the reality of these fantasy situations, this fantasy information that they're getting, we're not preparing them for the real world. We're not preparing them or equipping them with how to handle society. By sheltering them, you're really only hurting them more. I mean, that's truly what I believe. I don't know if any of you have had situations like this, and I am strictly speaking from experience from me and my family and my husband. And that's just how we dealt with it. I was super proud of it. I was super proud of the way we did it. And we talked to my son, and yes, he was grounded. Yes, the conversation did not just out there. I'm sorry, I'm a mean mom. That boy was grounded. He didn't have his tablet or his computer or anything for a while. Okay. But the reality too, when we found out about it, is he didn't just stumble upon it. He was told about it by some kids that he knew. And they talked to him about it. And the way it was is my son likes to be the expert in things. So what did he do? He wanted to figure out what they were talking about so he could be a part of the conversation, because that's peer pressure, buddy system, everything like that. And that's how he found out. It wasn't he just decided one day, hey, I think this is here and I want to find out about it. Even if they don't have tablets, they don't have electronics, they don't have that. Again, they're going to be told things, because unless you're with your child 24 hours a day and you're monitoring every single thing they do, watch, see, hear, everything, you have no idea what they're being told. You have no idea what they're being exposed to. And it is terrifying. It is so scary. It's the worst part of parenthood, is not the feeling of not being able to protect your kids. It really is. It's dang it, guys. It's the worst part. It really is. But the steps that we can take to help when we're not there is the best thing that we can do for our kids. It's the most powerful thing that we can do, is equip them with the tools to deal with the real world. Because even if you decide not to do it, they're going to go off into college, they're going to go into young adulthood, go into workforce or whatever, and they're going to be faced with these things. And that happened to me. I had my first kid. when I got pregnant when I was 19 years old, because I had no idea. I really didn't. And I mean, no fault to my mom, but I mean, our conversation about sexual health and that is, hey, if you get pregnant, I'd help you raise the baby, but not like how it happens, not like, hey, you shouldn't do this or hey, this or that. In school, they threw us some deodorant, told us about the reproductive system and sent us on our way. It was, hush, hush, shush, shush, don't say this. So it's not a conversation. And if there's no conversation, then there's no solution. And that's what I'm about, guys. I'm about finding real solutions, real answers to real problems. And it's a real thing. Yes, it's uncomfortable. Again, yes, it's uncomfortable. No, it's not something we want to have to deal with. But pretending like it's not there doesn't make it go away. So, yeah. Again, I hope that this is resonating somewhat to you guys. I hope that I'm giving you useful information. I'm not trying to just holler from the pulpit. I really am not. I'm not sitting here on my soapbox saying that I'm so good at this and you need to listen to me. It's about bringing out the conversation. I am a firm believer that everybody's journey is their own. Everybody is on a different path. I mean, based on your religion, your background, or whatever. I think that there's obviously different ways that we'll be able to bring these things forward and we'll be able to talk about these things. But the whole point is that you do it. That you do it. Yes, great information for parents and grandparents. Thank you, Mike. Because that's true. It's not just us as well. It's not just parents. It's second parents, it's grandparents, it's foster parents, things like that. There's all sorts of things, and our kids are being exposed to it. So we really need to make sure that we're talking about it. Hi, Bethany. Thanks for popping on, honey. I'm wrapping up on it a bit here, but I mean, feel free to do the replay. If you guys are catching the replay, please do replay. I was thinking about trying to have this conversation with my husband, but he's a bit nervous with you guys. I keep telling him that you're amazing and great, and the support system here is amazing. And that's another thing too. If you're not comfortable with it, get them in a group. Talk to their teacher. Get somebody else that maybe they're comfortable with to aid that conversation with them. But it's important that the conversation is had because, again, it's going to be had one way or another with somebody or another. Wouldn't you rather it be accurate information, safe information, and like in a setting that they're not having to just make that choice off the cuff or anything like that, but when they're presented with that situation, they're going to say, oh, I know what's going on here, or I know what happened here, and this is what I do. Like with my son, and how he responded. I was so happy. I was so proud of that. And my daughter's kind of been in a bit of that situation too, where she was literally like, nope, I'm not in this situation, and took herself out. She's a bit more brave. She was like, nope, and walked out. And I applaud her for that because she's only 11. And that makes me feel like I'm doing something right. Because if I never spoke to her about it, never talked to her about it, and she had no idea, could have been a lot different and a lot scarier situation. And I would be in a lot different situation. And she would. And that's no place that I want my daughter or my family to be in. So again, if you guys have questions about this or anything like that, and you're not comfortable with coming on here because this is a sensitive topic, please personal message me, email me, Jessie@wildjessie.com. Find a parent that you do trust that you might want to talk about it. If you know somebody that was going through the same thing, talk to your girlfriends, talk to your guy friends about it, talk to your parents, and say, hey, and think about that. Use yourself as an example too. What would you have loved to have been told if somebody or an adult was just honest with you about your journey into adulthood when it comes to these topics and these subjects? Because I guarantee you a lot of us have something that we say, I wish somebody would have just told me that. And then you know what? Tell it to them because they probably want to or need to hear it too. And it's true, it is. So I really hope that you guys are, I guess, I mean, I guess educated, inspired that these are answering some questions that you have and giving you some real solutions on how to deal with your kids and this situation and these topics. I know it's really, really a hot topic right now, and I hope that it doesn't end with this, and I hope that it continues because there are so many kids out there, and this is a thing, in the save the children age and the hashtag save the children age. This is what we need to be talking about. This is how we save our children. Don't let them be another kid on the wall because you didn't want to talk to them about it, because you didn't feel like you were qualified, or that it was a subject that you could comfortably talk to them, or that they would talk to you. You'll really probably find out that while they'll be uncomfortable as well, they want the information too. So, all right, I'm going to get to the good part here. I have a Red Lobster, $25 Red Lobster gift card. I wanted to make it, since I invited moms and dads to this, I wanted to make sure it was something that everybody would like or want. So all I need you to do is like and share this post. Please share it on public. You can do it on your page. You can do it in a group that you're a part of. If you do share it personally, just message me and say, hey, I shared this, but I wanted it to be private. But if you do it publicly, that's how I can see it and I can get you in on this. It's not about this. Hopefully this is information that you want to share with people too. Again, it's about opening the conversation, and making sure that we're getting this out there to our family and our kids. And again, find a support system. Use your parents, use your friends, teachers. There are a lot of good resources in communities now that deal with this or that talk to you, that actually talk to you as a parent on how to talk to your kids, which is great. They have books, they have podcasts. We are in YouTube. Join a group. I have Work Like a Mother. Join Work Like a Mother. If you are a mom, go on there and say, hey, ladies, I've got some amazing ladies in there that would love to talk to and communicate with you and give you tips and tricks on things. And I'm in there as well, or find a group that you like and just ask questions, because until we do that, these problems will not be solved. Okay. So again, go ahead, share this and share this post. I will give until Sunday at 4, and then I will pick the winner in my wine glass. I'll go on live and I'll let you guys know who won. And so thanks, guys. This is a Mom on a Mission. My name is Jessie Wild. And again, it's always a reminder that when you are doing it all, you do not have to do it all alone. Okay. So call me, message me, go on my website, find another mom, find another friend, or dad, if you're a dad and you want that. But I talk to dads too. So if you have questions, please do not just stop at your questions. I will help you to seek answers if I do not have them, because that's what this is all about. Okay. It's a mom on a mission, and it's a mother of a mission to help you guys out. Okay. So enjoy your Thursday night. Thank you so much for being here with me. Again, if you're alive, thank you for watching and following me tonight. I really appreciate it. If you're catching the replay, thank you very much. And I appreciate all the love and support that you guys have gotten. I don't know if you heard my Sunday video, but I'm past 40,000, going close to 50,000 views on these Mom on a Mission. So thank you, because that's awesome. And again, I'm just super excited. So you guys have a wonderful day, and don't let the conversation stop. Okay. Bye, guys.